Space travel is now as common as taking a vacation, yet beneath this shiny new world lies a dark secret, a rebellion brewing, a government ruling with an iron fist, and one man caught in the middle fighting to uncover the truth and ignite a revolution. It begins in the year 2157. Next, we see a guy from this new world named Max. But Max was not fond of studies, so he used to avoid calls from his family members. One day, suddenly, a big asteroid appeared. The system began to fail. The lights flickered and alarms kept blaring. Max had to make an emergency landing immediately, but the controls failed him. His ship went out of control, and in the next moment, it exploded. Max was now alone on an unknown planet without any support. This planet was strange. There was little light or sound, only a silence that pricked the ears. Max then fell near a strange creature. He tried to talk to her, but she ran away in fear. Max wondered, what the hell is this? Then a soldier named Gif appeared with a loud voice. He immediately took over Max. As soon as he put a device in Max's ear, Gif shot him with a belt and took Max with him. Max was then taken to a city that looked like Earth, but a little scarier. People wore dirty clothes, soldiers had helmets on their heads, and CCTV cameras were everywhere. Drones flew around. It was just like Max's own history. They asked Max many questions, but refused to accept him as an alien. They thought he was a madman, just like them. So, they decided to send Max to a mental asylum. A soldier named Cow was sent to escort him. There was passion in everyone's eyes, as if no other thought existed. Max was very surprised to see such things for the first time. Suddenly, the man who arrested Max fell to the ground, having a seizure. Max saw how bad everything was. The roads were broken, buildings were on the verge of collapse, and huge metal towers stood every 2 to 3 kilometers. Max asked what the towers were for. Gif replied that the rebels had increased a lot recently, so these towers were meant to protect against enemies. But before he could finish, a huge bomb exploded. Dust, fire, smoke, noise, and screams everywhere. Some people couldn't escape and were buried under debris. A large iron rod rammed into Max's truck, and Cow was trapped under the rubble. Max didn't waste any time. He now realized there was a rebellion going on this planet. People were unhappy with the government's methods, while the government wanted to maintain its strength by installing these big towers. His truck was destroyed in the accident. Max was taken to the Department of Special Research, headed by a man named Funky. Funky ordered Max to be brought to another scary facility, where a scientist kept him in a large tank to study his mind more deeply, was keeping an eye on Max's movements. When he saw the time on the clock, he quickly hid in his bathroom, where he too suffered a severe seizure. Seeing this, some policemen took Umnik captive, and the rest of the people started singing patriotic songs again. They began calling Max a rebel just because he didn't join in singing. Soon, we learned that whoever awakens is ruled by a few people called the Anon Fathers, including Strike and Umnik. Their system was so ruthless that if one father made even the slightest mistake, the others would punish him. They had no compassion for their people. While wandering this world, Max reached a bar where he met a waitress named Rada. Max fell in love with her at first sight, and Rada loved him too. He immediately took her hand, startling her. Afterward, Max and Rada talked all day. Max told her about his adventures on Earth and in space. That's when he also found out that Rada was Gif's sister. As they left the bar, the same rude customer returned with some punters to take revenge. But Max was a skilled fighter. He attacked with a sword and defeated them. Then their whole gang arrived with bigger weapons. But Max was undeterred. One man wrapped a rope around Max's leg, but Max used his weapons to pull and throw them to the ground. That night, Max reached Rada's house, where Gif was also present. At first, Gif was shocked to see Max, but when he remembered that Max had saved his life, he allowed him to stay. Time moved slowly. Everyone was taught that they lived inside the planet, not beyond the horizon, and that no other planets or stars existed outside. They were taught in books that their unknown fathers had won the war against the rebels. But the problem was, Max had no ID or papers, so Gif had to convince his commander uncle for this. Max had to undergo military training. He learned patriotic songs and passed mission trials. After training, Max was finally recruited into the army. His first mission was to raid a rebel base. The raiding team entered the building and started destroying everything. People were thrown with bombs and kicked. The rebels were not monsters, just frightened ordinary people. Seeing this, Max immediately dropped his gun. Then a rebel came out secretly and started firing, but was soon shot down. At the same time, Max's commander uncle asked why he dropped his gun. Max replied, I thought these would be wild people, but they are just common poor people. As punishment, they made each rebel stand in front of a bright light. The brightness burned their eyes. Some rebels ran away, saying they hadn't done anything, while others were abused. Those who stayed quiet were forced into labor. One rebel showed his mechanical arm because the guards had cut off his hand. The fathers put him in a gas-filled suit that burned his skin. Max watched all this silently, his anger growing inside. When he went back home, he told Gif that it was all wrong. "That's our way, and that's right," Gif said. Now that people knew Max, Funky easily tracked his location. But before catching him, Max and Gif had to escape. Gif took Max to the forest to test his loyalty. 2 rebels were sentenced to death. Gif said, "Blow these 2 up." Max made an excuse that he wanted to kill them by taking them apart. After this, the uncle dragged Gif back and left Max's shame to rot in the forest. Meanwhile, the fathers were making a new strategy. Umnik said that once the entire army was reduced and the rebels eliminated, they had to do something big to get public support for the war. They planned a fake murder attempt. The rebels told Max the whole truth. The towers were not for protection. These towers emitted signals that tampered with people's minds. Twice a day, a tsunami of patriotism swept through the population. All the rebels sat with wood in their mouths so their tongues wouldn't interfere during the tour. Umnik was also hiding in the city because the signals had no effect on Max. Max ran without fear, thinking whoever came in front of him was dropped by his own hands. Some soldiers died. Others hid behind walls and kept firing. Max reached the bottom of the tower. As he went, he tied a rope around the clothes of every rebel to pull them out. Soon, Max and his team escaped danger. There was a loud explosion behind them as the whole tower was destroyed, but the cost of this mission was high. After a while, Max sneaked back into town and met Rada. A loving moment erupted between them, but a neighbor saw Max and immediately alerted the police. When Gif came home, he saw Max. Soldiers were already waiting outside, but Max dropped them one after another. The game changed when the uncle took Rada captive. Max had no choice but to surrender. He was put in jail. Strike wanted Max released so his body could be further examined to prove he came from outside. Umnik said he needed time to think. As Strike left, Umnik saw Max's profile and immediately made a plan. He told his men to kidnap Max with security, making it seem like he had suddenly disappeared. Strike wanted to show the people that Max was killed in action. While this was happening, some defense robots were activated and started firing without warning. Everyone fell to the ground, waiting for the right moment. They attacked and finally killed all the robots. After some time, Gif fell into a hidden pit. Max jumped in after his friend, and they both reached an underground tunnel. There, they found old science equipment. Max used his strength to fight a beast. After a lot of effort, Max finally defeated it, but he knew if Gif got a chance, he would kill it. The next morning, Max, Gif, and the mechanically armored soldier were walking in the woods together. They found a red tank stuck in the mud, but as soon as they approached, a block tank attacked them. The tanks were not making much difference, so Max had an idea. He fired bullets at the red tank, which activated its defense system and accidentally blew up the block tank. If someone wants to walk a long way, tell me. But everyone was surprised how he would do it. Max explained that there were mines and traps on the border, but he would use the tank to get out. Max took the tank south, where many mines lay on the way. He broke out of jail and escaped, destroying everything in his office in anger. On the way, Max found some soldiers and the corpses of rebels, which saddened him. He was hiding inside the tank, but every single guard, Max's eyes lit up. It was none other than Cow. Max immediately opened the door and dragged Cow in. He then broke the gate without any hindrance. The guards fired many bullets at them, but the tank was not destroyed. Max calmly told them, "I will show you a new life. It will be very good." Max and Cow are headed towards a new life, but the war is far from over. With the Anon fathers still in power, can Max truly find freedom, or will he be forever hunted? The journey has just begun. Don't forget to like and subscribe to join the fight.